Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Book Leads Impactful Books for Life and Leadership. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jaramillo. This podcast series is about getting to the books that have impacted the lives of the people in my network. So these are leaders that were in my network, expanded network, growing network. These are all great leads to get to books that they want to share that have impacted their lives, their work, their businesses, whatever it may be, whether they're the author or not. I want to get to those books that have really stood out to them and made a difference in all those worlds. All of it intersects. And the three categories of books that I cover in this series are books where they're sharing the book with me, category one, a book that I haven't read. Category two is when we read the same book, whether specifically for the series or in our past lives before the podcast. And then the third category is when I get to speak to the author and or publisher of the book to kind of get that message out there to the masses, to show a face, to provide a tone to that message, just to make sure people really do understand what is behind that book in question. And my guest today is Camille Barrios. And Camille is a communication arts graduate with love for music and movies. She attended De La Salle University, Manila, where her hobby for writing grew. Later, she joined public relations as an account manager for Ogilvy PR, supporting major brands like Sony and Facebook. Today, Camille keeps up with two daughters and a husband in the U.S. Army. In her spare time, she enjoys being alone, reading in the bookstore, and sharing her silly but inspiring stories over and over again. And Camille was born and raised in California. And Camille and I met when she heard about the series. Again, like most of my author guests hear about the series, want to share the story of their book, their project, their baby in most cases, something that they find very valuable and that they want to get out there to the world. So Camille, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, John, and you put it so perfectly. I really appreciate all the time and effort it got to get me on your show. I was like, oh my gosh, season 4, this is definitely something I want to support and look into. And when I did look at past episodes in your old posts, and when I read that, I'm like, well, this is who I want to be. I want to be John, but I can't be John. I can't
No,
be
I
John.
appreciate that.
I just can be me, right? And John likes me for me. I mean, we're married, but to other people, but John wants to talk to me. So I'm
What
gonna, yeah,
what did you mean you wanted to be like John? Like what? Like getting your message out there and just kind
getting
of
my message out there, having my own show, talking to other inspiring people, maybe relating to, parents, just because opening up conversations where probably people are scared,
mm,
to talk. But if you start to chat like you did, like, you know, then maybe they'll open up and maybe it's something good.
yeah, it's incredible. You and I were talking about parenting and your I think your daughter had come into the bedroom and you were like
Yeah.
apologizing for that. I'm like, that's life. Like I told you in the series, I've had kids walk through, a cat walk through, dogs come in. That's life. And then in terms of you saying we should have those conversations, those chats, whatever it
Mm.
is, this is just kind of a muscle that I keep working out, just asking people questions, asking people about their stories. I think we need that more than ever these days.
I
So I
so
appreciate you
agree.
just appreciating, what I've put out and going into season 4. Um,
Yeah.
but let's dive into the conversation, Camille. Can you just share with us who are you today? Share a little bit about your day in and day out. I know obviously you're a mom to two daughters, and we
Mm-hmm.
had talked about how challenging, how parenthood can be both challenging and a blessing. I've said that before.
Yes.
I'm not ashamed to say it. It's the hardest and most beautiful thing I've ever done. But
It
why
is.
don't you share with us a little bit about you and what
I
you're up
mean,
to these days?
if you ask me now, if I describe the routine, I'm staying at home, I'm taking care of the kids. It's boring, John. It's boring. But I don't want it to be boring because the kids are the best thing in the world to me,
Hmm.
right? So every 30 minutes or every hour, I have to find something that I love, as simple as um, the cold air, in my face, right? Or a rom-com that was put out in the 90s, but I just like it, so I watch it over and over. Uh, I just have to find something that doesn't make the routine boring, because
Mm,
the last thing I want is for my children to hear, I hate this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
So
and we talked,
I,
obviously we talked about our differences, you know,
yeah,
man, woman, husband, wife.
right,
But I have a
right.
deep appreciation for anybody who is a stay-at-home parent. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
so,
times are very different too from when our parents were raising us to now. And even though
mhm,
that
mhm.
generation there were stay-at-home parents, this generation there are stay-at-home parents, the similarity stops there because we have so much exposure to what's going on in the world outside now that our parents didn't.
Right, right. And I think that's a lot of where my doubt comes from too, because there's always, comparison. There's always a feeling of, well, the generation before me did it so seamlessly and effortlessly. I shouldn't be struggling so much, but I am.
Yeah,
And I don't want to say it out loud. So if I
yeah,
don't say it out loud, it's still going to be inside of me. I don't want that, because it's going to come out to my children. It's going to come out to my husband, who doesn't deserve that, really. So instead of, shouting it out to a random guy on the street, or you, or my 3-year old, the shouting is here. And instead of shouting, it's just inspiring. It's just a song. I don't want to pause or stop. So when I stop writing, because I have to stop writing sometimes, I have to understand there is a reality, life goes on. When I stop writing and I look up, I'm like, well, things are not boring, and I love life. And yes, I stay at home primarily, but I do what I do because I love you, to my husband, you know?
yeah,
So it makes me crazy, makes me a monster, but I'm doing it for us. As long as you show me you're doing it for us too, we have no problem.
yeah.
Comprende? you know?
Yeah. Um, there's so many conversations I have with parents, with fathers, whether it's me and my wife as a couple talking to another couple, random couple that
Mm,
you meet out in the restaurant, whatever, or a friend couple or a family couple. There's a lot that's there. And we were talking before I hit record, and it's important to say where you're at. It's important to
yeah,
share what you feel. Um, I think the generation before us maybe felt the same way, but it wasn't accepted to talk about. And this is mental health. Let's be honest.
yeah, it
To me,
is. It,
it's impacted me. Um, to me, it is mental health. But I think in the past, we weren't able to talk about that. Where now we are able, it's more open. You're encouraged to speak up with somebody you trust or a doctor, whoever it may be, whatever level you
yeah,
feel you need to express yourself. So to me, when you shared that before we started recording, I didn't
hmm,
flinch because I think we've all been there. And I think
hmm,
if we're honest with each other, we share stories. I think part of the biggest reason that it
hmm,
may hurt, if that's the word, is that
yeah,
maybe we feel anytime something hurts, I think most of the reason is we feel it's only us. You feel very
yeah,
isolated. You feel very alone. Am I the only one that can't handle this? Like, what's going on? But I think it's great to be growing up, or not growing up, but being a parent in this era of time because we are able to open up more. It is a little more accepting to speak about where you are mentally
it
and how you
is.
feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and that part, like being able to express and everything, it sure helps, John. It helps. And I think it's social media. You can express yourself, you can, share jokes with your friends on the other side of the world and everything. But there's also a con, because you get so into social media, you forget how to function without it.
Mm,
I mean, what if in the year 3000 we don't have social media? So what are we going to do, John? I'm not saying we have to read books, but we have to know how to move on. We have to know how to live life, without electronics sometimes.
I
Because,
think
like,
if they all went away, we'd go back
yeah,
to the way
yeah,
you and I grew up as kids.
right. I'm not saying social media isn't helping or is making things difficult. No, I agree. It's making things easy. I mean, come on, it brought you and I together,
Yeah, very true.
But
Very
I'm
true.
I'm just saying, if we don't listen to the book leads or we don't read the book leads, we have to have both. We have to
Yeah.
have both. We have to advance like the technology advances, but
Yes.
listen to the wisdom that the
Yes.
book says, that
Absolutely.
John said.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read a book recently, The Anxious Generation. In short, it has to do with the kids that grew up into their teens around the time that social media really hit, and how
Hmm.
they're an anxious generation because the way you and I grew up playing outside, playing with our friends, there was no smartphone in our pocket, there was no social media. Now it's everywhere. Um, so I think, and there's no way you can say, okay, get rid of all technology, but I think it
Yeah.
is about educating, especially kids
Mm.
young, about what their value is, what their innate value is, what they bring to the table. I don't like to over sanitize. If something is uncomfortable or even
Right.
slightly, not physical, but slightly dangerous, I would
Hmm.
rather inform and educate than say, no, we got to do away with that. That's too dangerous. I don't want to keep
That
the world
I
too
agree.
safe for my kids.
Yeah, I like that. You don't want to keep the world too safe for your kids. I like that, John, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to do. Like, yes, you can have the phone. Yes, you can watch whatever is cool your classmates are watching too. But we got to know too, baby, it's not all real. Like, they do have a ring light, they do have makeup on when they say they wake up in the morning, fresh. Um, they did, just like you and me. They did a run through before going on live. So I don't want you to feel like the first time you're supposed to be perfect.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't want you to feel like the first time you have to have, everything down, because like you and I did, yeah, there were not difficulties, but like, yeah, my toddler goes in, there was
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
want to check the audio and everything. I just want them to know that too. So chatting is good, and what you said is good. We can't get rid of it, but we can discipline them. We can try. And half of part of parenting is like practicing what you preach. So if I tell my 8-year-old, enough with the phone, well, me too, enough with the phone, right? I need to talk to John. I need to calm down. I
Yeah. Yeah.
need, right, right.
Yeah,
So
there's a
I'm,
lot of a lot of it is just it's education, it is discipline, it is conversations, and it is empowerment. It
mm,
is it's all of these things. Um, it's an ongoing process. It's not easy, but and there's no playbook for it. It's not cookie cutter. There are no steps because every kid is
yeah,
different. Every parent is different. Everyone had different upbringings. Every household is different just because of all those factors that come together. But you just try your best. You just try your
yeah,
best. You're honest with your kids. You try to do the right by them until they're 18, and then
right.
see what happens.
You try your best. There's no playbook. There's no manual. You share, John. You have a child who is 9. I have an 8-year-old, so I can guess what they're like, but I don't know what they're like. John, I'm not saying you're bad or anything, but I don't know what you like. I don't know what your significant other allows in your home.
Mhm.
So instead of like judging and placing you in that cookie cutter situation, better just say either nothing or just say I can relate because I'm a parent too. I'm
Mm,
trying too.
yeah.
And that's what my book is about, saying you can try, keep trying, baby. And I don't know, you might have season 4, right? One day.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. That's the thing too. The like you said you appreciated, you couldn't believe I was coming up on season 4. Like I that's humbling to hear that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
No.
Um and I've been happy about things. I've been
Hmm.
proud of things in the past, but I'm really proud of this. And I
Yeah.
think when it comes to kids, I want them to experiment as much as possible to figure out what the book leads is. Doesn't have to be a podcast. They don't have to be a
Yeah.
writer. None of that. But what is their thing where they're like, this gives me a high. This makes me feel like this is what I'm meant to do.
Hmm.
Just as I think as long as we prepare our kids, love our kids, and prepare them as much as possible to like explore themselves and not give up too much of themselves.
Right. I
Because I
like,
think
yes.
society and school kind of like just
Put them
washes
in that
kids'
box.
personalities. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Put them in that
But
box. Like,
but
no, go
Camille,
ahead. Yeah.
no, no, no worries. But let's jump into you then.
Yeah.
Um, can you give me why don't you give me a walkthrough of your life from school to now? Um, Usually like from the end of high school or when you enter the
Oh,
workforce, what does that look
my
like up until now?
goodness. Thank you,
Just so
John,
we
for
just so we get a
asking.
good idea of who you are and who's behind the book.
Right, right. So I'm so proud to say I was born and raised in LA. So a lot of my first steps, no, really, my first steps are there. My idol is Kobe Bryant. We love the Lakers. We love the parks and the Getty Museum, and we don't know winters. So the beginning, my early years are there on the West Coast. And then I'm so happy to say I went to William Howard Taft High School in Woodland Hills in California. Then we moved to the Philippines, my family and I. We moved to the Philippines where I went to Colegio San Agustin High School. So it was like I did until sophomore year in LA and then junior and senior year in the Philippines. So best of both worlds. And
What made your
the
family move back to
move,
the Philippines?
um, I think we just needed a good change, and it was it was right for my family at that time. Yeah, it was, and the move, it really shook me up. Right, as an adolescent, as someone who's trying to be the blonde in the movie, you know? Um, so I'm like, well, this is never gonna work out because I go to the Philippines where everybody is dark haired and I don't even know how to be myself anymore when I
Mm,
move. I the third year I was so quiet and to myself, and I just went from home to school, home to school, home to school because I don't even know if my jokes land. I don't even understand. Well, I understood the language, but I don't even understand their jokes, right? I laugh at the wrong time and then my delivery doesn't sit. So there's miscommunication. But
yeah.
little by little, come around to senior year, I'm like, well, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have any miscommunication anymore. I'm a senior in high school, right? And we go to the Philippines. I'm still proud of the Philippines. I was down last year, but I can stand back up.
Yeah.
So I tried to stand up, and it was great because people were like, it just so happened I had a great class who wanted me to stand up. and I sang a lot, I rapped a lot, and people still invited me to their homes. And it just so happened that I have same age cousins who were going to the same college that I got accepted in. So we did that. So by the time college rolled over, uh, De La Salle University, Manila, I was with like just cousins, my best friends. So I was just comfortable being me already. There was no more new girl. Well, I still am the new girl in college, but not new. So I just rode that wave and I was just myself. And that was fun. I did start college off in literature. But I was like, no, I can't finish lit. Reading and writing is just reading and writing, right? Yeah, I had that doubt, John. I had that doubt. So I'm gonna switch to what? Switch what major can I switch to that I'll still feel passionate about it, but it's not so far from my first love. So I did communication arts, because I saw that there's radio there, there's film there, there's still humanities. There's a lot of what I still like. So I'm not feeling so bad about switching. I'm just again riding that wave. And it just so happened that when I made that switch, I still ended up with people who helped me up. I still ended up with people who related to me in one way or the other. Maybe they're not from LA, but they're from, Saipan, or they're from the province. This is their first time in Manila. So even though we don't have the exact same stories, we still bonded over that. And then by the time um by the time I was already comfortable with my story and chatting and everything, then I had a friend tell me, "Well, Camille, you're actually a funny person, and a lot of what you say should be on Twitter. Back when it was called Twitter, or a lot of what you say should be recorded somewhere." And then I was like, "Me? No, I'm just me, John. I'm just me. This is all my doubts put together in one
Yeah.
place." So I'm like, "No." But those people, they just kept telling me, like, "Yeah, you really should, Camille. You should." I'm like, "No." So I tried putting myself out there. Um, but I was always met with, it was my own self doubt. It was my own, like, no, no, I'm still not blonde, right? I'm still not, So it was all in my head, that long battle. And then finally there was a DJ hunt, uh, for a for a fresh voice, for someone with a story to say. And I was like, I'm so gonna be a DJ. I'm so gonna join. And my my friends were like, "Well, you should join Camille." But then in the back of my head, John, I'm like, "Well, if you want to be a DJ, you play the music and you don't talk about yourself the whole entire show, right?
Yeah.
People, this is going to be a radio station for your university. Nobody really cares." Not to discourage me, but like, I have to know that. I have to know that. If I don't know it then in college, I'm going to find out later on, right? That nobody really cares. So either do it or don't. Okay. And recently I heard T.I., the rapper, he said, if you want to do something along, he said something like, if you want to do something, if you live by the cheers, you will die by the booze.
Ooh.
Like, if
I think I
you,
saw that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And
Yeah, that I mean, what does
With
that yeah, what does that mean to you, what he said?
it was beautiful to me then and now. I mean, if I'm gonna do something just so John, you can validate me, don't do it then. If
Yeah.
other people,
Yeah,
but if I
that's
do something and
powerful.
it just so, if I do something and it just so happens John likes me, he relates to me, he gives me a thumbs up,
It's a
then
bonus.
okay, follow it, right? So I followed it. I joined, and I think out of 50, we were down to 20. Out of 20, we were down to, you know, and I made it. I remember sitting down, and one of my good friends, she was a judge, and I was like, oh, this is so in the bag. She's a friend of mine. That was wrong thinking, John, in a way, because it's like you don't go through life thinking it's a yes all the time,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
But it, she walks up to me and she's like, Camille, you got in. I started to say yes. I started to jump up and down. But then she was like, oh, wait, Camille. She told me like it is. She was like, they were so close to saying no, actually. Or they were, or it wasn't a unanimous yes,
Yeah. It's not like you
right?
won by
And
a
I was like,
mile, so it's like,
yeah,
be
it
humble
wasn't
because
right.
be
And
humble
so
because it
that
was
was
like
a good,
a hair
yeah,
of
that was
difference.
a good lesson. That was a good lesson. And like I said, you need that when you're young. So I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, yes, yes, yes. But then Rico's like, wait, Camille, wait. They were close to saying no. It wasn't all 100 because someone said you talk too much.
Well, I was gonna
Some
ask, did she or your friend, did they give you feedback on what it was that set you
Yeah.
apart?
Yeah, she gave me feedback. She gave me feedback every day, every week, because Marika, she's a good friend. So, and she wanted to see me shine. She wanted me to know my faults, or not really faults, but she wanted me to know the points I could improve on. So in the future, the senior DJs will be like, oh, hey, well, Camille really listened and we took a chance on her and we don't regret it, you know? So I really think my friend Rika, and she was like, well, if you listen, Camille, if you calm down, if you don't put the mic so close, if you don't shout at John, right? Because my voice is amplified in the college. Like if I get excited over a story, they will hear that volume times 100 because I'm on speakerphone. Not everybody wants to hear, a chipmunk on their lunch break, right? Not, yeah, part of us, we think you're funny. We like your stories. That's why we think you should join, but not if you don't know how to hit the pause button every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
So,
mean, you have your friends, you have your collective that appreciates
mm-hmm,
you, your sense of humor, your way of being, the way you carry
yeah.
yourself, but we're not for everybody.
Yes.
We're not
Yes.
for everybody, and hopefully we can start something and refine ourselves and not give away too much of ourselves trying to draw people in. Hopefully we can find that nice balance of taming ourselves to draw more people in, but not so much where anyone can do what I do or you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Taming ourselves. And it was a long battle of learning how to tame myself, or how to just chill for a bit. But I really wanted to say on air, John, I really liked my music. I thought it was so cool because when I'm on in the mornings in the Philippines, I'm on in the evenings in LA. So it was my way of communicating to the people, right? If they're
Yeah.
busy, I'm not, I'm busy, they're not. So, but if it's like a show, we can talk to each other on that show, kind of. So that was really that was a huge thing for me, and because it was huge, and because it was like my only thing, it was like really the only thing I talked about all the time, and I put on my resume. So by the time it was ready for me to go into the real world, I kept talking. I kept talking. I kept talking about being a DJ. I kept talking about music. And then, of course, in a professional setting, again, it's not all about you.
See, here's the thing. You going back to you saying how you feel when you're at home with your
Yeah.
girls. I
Yeah.
don't think it's not a reflection on them. It's
Thank
just
you.
that, and you've said you have to kind of tame yourself, right? Well, we came up with that language, but that you have all this energy and people have told you to kind of, just chill, like,
Mm.
just a little bit, pause and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
obviously you can tell you have this energy. So I think what drives you kind of crazy at home is that you have all this energy to get out of
Yeah.
you, and it's not like
Yeah.
you can talk as much as you want to or about the things you want to with your little girls.
Right.
So it's like you
And
have to find that outlet to get that energy out of you.
yeah.
Because
And
I
I
didn't know
found
that
it.
when we were talking about your kids, I didn't know that you were that chatty in terms of having this energy that you wanted to talk to people when you were a DJ, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It
That's
was.
what I'm gathering. You have all this
It's
energy and
right.
people are
It's
telling
right.
you to to hold it back and hold it down.
Hold it.
Because I think
And in a
I
way,
can
yeah.
relate just in terms of having this energy inside of you and not having anywhere for it to go.
Yeah.
And I know what that feels like. I never knew what that was until honestly, maybe the last year. And I'm 46 years old. I never understood what that was until maybe the last year where I had just this powerful energy, this insatiable energy for life,
Yeah.
but I
Now
wasn't
you
tapping into it correctly.
But now you know where to put your energy. That's why you're on season 4. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now I know where to put my energy. That's why it's in my notebook. Right. So because at that time I was still learning about my energy,
Mm,
I I was unsure, but I also wanted to please people around me, and I didn't want to alarm anyone that I was unsure. Because by the time you're in college, you should be kind of sure, right?
eh.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's the idea you have it when you're a kid, but you're like 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah,
What it's like, what do you know? What does anybody know at that age?
I don't know, but I was around people. I was having around people who seemed like they knew what they were doing, so I should know what I'm doing too. But like the truth is, I wasn't really sure. I just knew at that point there was some steadiness in me, but just a little percent to know I wanted to keep talking, but not just for nothing. I wanted to help others.
Yeah.
I wanted to support a person, a team. I wanted to do well, do good. How is I gonna help? How's gonna how am I gonna help anyone by talking? I want to go into public relations. Okay. I want to support brands and companies who maybe don't know how to communicate, right?
Mhm.
I want to let them know that hey, this huge thing on Facebook is happening in Asia, in the Philippines only. And you got to know. I want to do that. So I started off with a smaller company, but I was handling Yahoo Philippines, and it was great. It was great because it just so happened the year that I joined, it was the OMG Awards, which it was an award show for celebrities. If you search for a Filipino celebrity on Yahoo,
Mhm.
they'll win an award. If you're a really great actress, you win an award. So if you worked on a film, right, award show, I'm like, I have to do this. This is so me. I want to be on stage, even if it's like shaking someone's hand. It's got to be me, John. But one of my team leaders, she moved on from the position, and she said, Camille, I moved on, but you're doing a really good job, so you should stay with that smaller team. So I'm like, okay, I think I will. It's a good learning experience. I love what I do. I love this. It was tiring to be in media relations, in public relations. It was tiring, because you work on the press releases in the evening. You make sure
Mhm.
they're all sent out early AM. It was tiring, but I had so much fun. And my colleague told me, you know what, Camille, I think you should join Ogilvy. We handle huge accounts like Sony, Microsoft, Ford. We're international. And I'm like, me? Me? Mavic? Me? Like, look, if she saw me once, because she hired me for the team doing Yahoo, if she saw me once, maybe she wants me to try again, or she believes in me, a part of me. It was only me. See, I didn't believe in myself, but she did. For what reason? Right, John? For what reason? But she did. And I threw my resume in there, and I was like, well, I hope to get it, because I read about this company. I know the good that they do. They're huge. You know, I want to be in it. And I almost didn't get it again. John, I almost didn't get it because I was overconfident. Look,
Well,
there's
how do you know?
always,
How do you know you almost didn't get it?
I almost didn't get it because I didn't study, because I thought my friend from the smaller company was gonna interview me for Ogilvy,
Ah,
right? But it's a different person. Like John, for example, you interview me on the book leads, and then you recommend me for another show. I think I'm gonna get it because John recommends me. But John, you're saying, Camille, I can recommend you, but it's up to you to, take your medicine, do your homework,
go from there. Yeah.
show up, right? So I was overconfident because, again, I thought she would, but she didn't interview me. It was someone else. That someone else wore smart attire, and he knew what he was talking about when it came to sports and technology. Now, I didn't really know much about sports and technology. I just knew, um, I did Yahoo. I love Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. That's as sporty as I get, loving someone from afar. But I will work hard. I
Hmm.
will send emails, and I will text on the same day. And I will also send a LinkedIn message right after I send the text. What I did to you, John. So, and then I got it. I got it. And I'm so happy I did, because they taught, like everyone, they humbled me. They taught me well. When I messed up, they what I liked about Ogilvy is that when I messed up, when it was so my fault, when it was just so me, no one said Camille did it. Or no one said Camille didn't know. No one said, oh, Camille's a rookie. They just
Hmm.
said, oh, okay, it's normal. You know what they did? They just said, I was Leah, my boss. She just said, I once did that. I
Yeah.
once fumbled too.
Yeah.
And I once did that. So we're not gonna shame her or anything. We're just gonna, you know, manage it, because there are public, you know, and then because they did it that way, I didn't feel I really thought, okay, I don't want to keep messing up for them. I want to do some kind of good. I want to keep improving. So I think I did. I think I did. And then it happened that year, 2 years into it, um, we were blessed and gifted with a company trip to Korea. uh, the company goes to different places each year when the business does well. So part of me thought, oh my gosh, I did well, but then they were like, it's okay, Camille, you're part of the team, you're part of our success, come with us, leave the emails, turn off your phone, you don't have to manage anybody's calendar but your own for 3 days, right? We're going to Korea. So I'm like, I am so blessed. When we got there, we got baon, uh, we got something so we can, spend it on, fun things, clothes, food, whatever. And then at the end of the nights, my boss wasn't my boss. She was a confidant.
Yeah.
She was still, yeah, a professional. She's not my cousin, but like I don't have to give her like a report on what I did because I was with her the whole day in Korea. We don't have to talk about, yeah, we don't have to talk about numbers or anything. So I was having fun, and I realized, oh, okay, I really like it here. I like the cold. I like Korea. When I came home after 3 days, I found out I was expecting. So I was having fun at work, but I was also falling in love. And some people can, but I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I could be really, really sad and ashamed, but I could still go on, you know?
Hmm.
So I did. And the person who knocked me up is still with me, and we have two beautiful children together. Um, and we're gonna keep going. I mean, I am. If he's gonna keep going, if he's gonna keep working for Uncle Sam, I'm gonna keep losing my mind in every page.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Or
Yeah.
finding it in every page.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Uh,
And then, when I started telling my story to the librarian, to you, to my neighbors, they're like, Camille, you didn't lose your mind. You found it. Like you said, you found it. And we are so happy to hear about your strength.
So does it the strengths that you have in terms of the work that you were doing in PR, how does that reconcile to when you were a child? What is it from your childhood that gave you those strengths in your professional career? How do you connect the two?
Hmm,
And I
everything's
mean, and I'm
childhood.
curious too
Yeah.
if those strengths in PR, in communications, if those came from what you learned in the Philippines when you went there later in high school, what you learned in the States before you went to the Philippines for later years of high school, a combination of both. What do you think that comes from?
Yeah, yeah. I think it comes from my wild imagination. Ever since childhood, I've liked playing characters. I like making stuff up in my head. Now, whether it's wrong or right, it has helped me in PR, in life, in being a mother, because if I make stuff up in my head, like I'm not alone, or I can whistle while I work, if I just imagine that, my best friend is there, when she's really not. She's in Manila, right? If I give in to that wild imagination, I'm gonna be okay. So that really helped me because in PR, yes, there's a lot of teamwork, but there's a lot of times you go at it alone. Like my bosses said, once you come in here, you hit the ground running. And yes, you may ask questions, but at the same time, you're a professional, Camille, right? You've had 4 years of experience, so we don't want you to just be a water fountain of tears every time someone gives you a briefing book or something.
Mhm.
You got to go at it alone. So I learned the hard way how to go at it alone in PR, and that translates to how I am as, you know, a military mom, because there's a lot of things you got to do alone. And sometimes it sucks,
Yeah.
John. Like, but if I did it, I don't know, ever since childhood, ever since PR, ever since I was a DJ. I mean, you're alone when we're speaking on the mic. No one else is in the sound booth. If we can do it then, we can do it today. I'm not sure about tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can do it tomorrow. I might have no more words, right? But at least I can do it today. That's all.
And I mean, that's the most you can do
Yeah,
each
yeah.
day. Just hope it's going to be, that strength is going to improve and continue into the next day. Camille, so was that, what were you like as a kid? Were you a dreamer as a kid? What, how
Yeah,
does,
I
when you
was
were younger, how does that play into?
Yeah, I was a dreamer as a kid, but because I went to school with other people who were dreamers as well, rightfully so, I didn't want to outdream them. Like I didn't want to say, hey, I didn't want to voice my opinion, or I didn't want to express, I didn't want to add to the conversation because there were so many other people who were better speakers than I was. So yes, I was a dreamer, but at home. And so when it came to being in class, when it came to, going on field trips, I kept my dreams to myself. I kept to my diary, my journal, and a few years, 2 years ago, when I was part of a larger layoff, I was like, you know what? This is it. I am just going to publish my diary.
You said it
I'm
was
just
two
going to,
years ago that you got laid off,
yeah, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago.
and that was from where?
I was a recruitment company.
Okay.
I was doing recruiting, and I was part of a larger layoff, and I was like, this is this is a good time. It was a good time for me to understand myself, understand the situation, get back into hobbies, spend time with my family.
Hmm.
But then there was a part of me that realized, wait, what the heck is my hobby? Like talking to myself, talking to the wall, right? Talking to people that don't even exist. Whew. So I started writing it down, John, that I don't even know what the heck I'm doing with my life. I don't like that my husband got promoted and I didn't. I don't like that I have to stay at home and nurse,
Yeah.
right? When other people are eating, chips and guacamole or whatever. But I was blessed, and I was still supported no matter what, and I'm here to
What,
stay.
how long do you still journal?
I do, yes.
When did you start journaling?
It was I started in college, but like
Okay.
I said, I never showed anyone. Or wait, did I say that? No. But like I said, I did it at home, and I kept to myself at
Yeah,
school.
it was like when I asked you about if you were a dreamer. You did
Yeah,
it at home, but
yeah. I
out in
did it.
company, out in
I
groups.
dreamt at home, but then I didn't want to share my dreams with someone else because there's always, even now there's always a chance someone could say, well, that sounds lame. Even now it's
Yeah, but even if they
50-50.
say that,
Yeah.
I mean,
But as a young me, as a
yeah.
young
Yeah,
Camille,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
meant
yeah,
that
yeah,
stopped me.
yeah.
That stopped me. Not now, as a mom of two, that's not stopping me now. So yes, I do journal. And
It's crazy because, um, yeah, when you're a parent, whether you have 1, 2, 3 kids, whatever it may be,
mm,
you
mm,
have insecurities, you have fears, you have all these things that hold you back. But then once you have a kid and you realize, like, this precious life depends on you and there's more at stake,
yeah,
um, I think for me at least, fear kind of goes out the window
it does.
because it's
It
like
does.
I'm worried about certain things that I'm building up in my mind, and meanwhile, there's like there's a baby that you got to take care of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that when you become a parent, the fears go out the way. You're super and everything. No, but there's a whole new set of fears. Am I
Oh
saying the
yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
thing?
Yes,
Am
yeah.
I disciplining them the right way?
Mhm.
Because there's a
Yeah,
whole new set of fears and
that's a very
doubts
good
that I
point.
have to make room for. So I have no more room for the old me fears.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's
Right?
what it
I mean,
is.
like, yeah,
That's what
like,
it is. That's
and
exactly what it is.
thank you for relating with me and for saying that to your point, because it's like I have a set of fears, like about them, about being a wife, about I can't do I can't think like the DJ me, the PR
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But what I can do is take the lessons I learned when I was
Mhm.
a DJ, like the being humble, take the lessons I learned when I was in PR, like put everything in black and white, you know, mess every lessons, but the insecurities I can't because I have insecurities now over
Yeah,
them,
and listen,
right?
it's not that I
Mhm.
figured it out perfectly. I think it
Yeah,
comes down to when you have kids, you only have so much energy. So you're
yeah,
prioritizing where that energy goes. Does my energy go to my 1, 2, or 3 kids, or does it
right.
go to some insecurity that I'm building up in my mind in the outside world? You have
Yeah,
your priorities.
yeah.
Camille, what do you consider your superpower? You've talked about different abilities, the dreaming, the this, the that, the journaling. But what if somebody asks you that question? What do you consider your superpower?
It's crazy, John. I remember things. I remember things, and I think that's my superpower. I have super senses. It's crazy to say out loud, but like, no, 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 no. But like, sounds disturb me. Like his dog tag, or like when someone chews loudly, I hear things. Or like he's supposed to be silent, right? Because you're silent when you do your work, but like I can hear his footsteps, or like,
So it's like super
and so
auditory.
that's the superpower. And I think all moms have it, that
Oh yeah.
instinct, that thing. But like to me, it's like grabe, which means like too much. It's like overacting. I remember things to the point where it happened 12 years ago, and I'm so happy with that memory because it makes me laugh, it makes me cry. But it happened 12 years ago, so there's a chance that either A, it didn't happen, or B, I misunderstood something, right? So it's a superpower, but it also can be my downfall.
Has it
What do you
served? How has it served you?
it served me. It makes me remember. It just makes me remember details like people's birthdays, people's anniversaries. It makes me stay in tune to people, to conversations. So when someone says, they're vegan, 3 years ago they told me they're vegan. When I
You
see
remember
them
that.
again, yeah. Or when someone says, like in college, a DJ colleague told me that he dated someone. He's dating someone. And then I just remember now, recently, I reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, are you are you and that girl married for 16 years now? Yes, exactly to the
To the day.
detail, John, which is creepy. Or
Yeah,
like, no, excuse me.
that's all
Yeah,
right.
you want to do it in 10 minutes? You want So I remember those details, and it serves as my superpower now because since I remember those great details, those loving details, I get to write it down. So when I feel down, I get to read it to myself, to my kids, and laugh about lame stuff, about stupid things I did, you
Yeah.
know, about maybe the color shirt they were wearing matches the colors of their eyes, maybe. I just remember those details that matter to me, the little things.
Yeah. Camille, what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership means, leadership means, leadership means, be- leadership means being able to talk the talk and walk the walk. You're a leader for a reason. You do it the hard way first, the small things first, and then you're a leader. You're on that pedestal because you deserve to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've done it the hard way, John. So if I spent a long time talking to no one, I think I deserve an hour and a half talking to John, right? But other than that, I don't deserve anything. Like, I don't, I only you're only a leader if you've worked on something
Mm,
small. You start small, and then you're leader in that space of the small thing you've worked on, but you don't deserve anything else outside.
okay. I got you. Yeah. That it has to be earned. You have to prove it
Yeah,
in some way. It doesn't
yeah,
just come easily with a title and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
are there examples you have? Is there, because that definition came to you, is there something that stands out?
Yeah, no, because when you said leader,
And we could take a
when
break if
you
you want. Do you want to take a
I
break? Just
we no, I think we're fine.
okay.
Wait, hold on. I'll just Yeah, I think yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Um no, that was the first thing that came to mind because when you said leader, I thought of again PR, Ogilvy and leadership and excellence, and as a rookie, as someone who was coming into the field, I would do the little things, but fondly. Like I'd set up the media gifts, I'd coordinate, the food in the events. But I think, wait, they're a leader and they're telling me to do it. It's because they can do that.
Yeah.
They can do it. So they're a leader. They're excellent. So if I'm struggling sending out invitations, well, just think 2 years ago, they were probably also figuring it out too,
Yeah.
and they deserve their leadership title. So that's how I feel about leaders. They deserve respect, you know, red carpet. What I don't like is the people who are the, the young minds who don't even try the small stuff anymore, and they demand to be put in a leadership position. No, I've heard that too much. Maybe it
Yeah.
comes with this generation, but I've heard it too much that, like, oh, maybe in 6 months I'm gonna demand something. But wait a minute, did you do the hard stuff? The stuff that
Yeah.
no one wants to talk about? The
Yeah. I
things
like
where
that.
you're alone. Yeah. The
Or
things where
even the
you're
ones that
alone.
roll, even the ones that have done it in the past, but if needed to, they roll up their sleeves and help
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Camille,
Like,
why don't go ahead? I'm sorry.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna give an example. Like, when I first started at work, I was assigned to the Sony media gifts. I was just putting gifts together for guests of an
Yep.
event, and I can say it now, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to, John. I wanted to go home. I wanted to go home, watch movies, download music, whatever. I didn't want to do the gifts. But
Yeah.
then, so I think so I did it. I did the work, but like half-assed, like
Yeah.
not tidy. And then I the next morning I made it a point to come early because I knew I didn't do it 100, and I didn't want anyone to know that I didn't. But so I went to work early, hoping that no one is going to see me clean it up. But guess what, John? The gifts, they're done. Spick and span, clear, and ready to roll. I was so embarrassed because the person who told me to do it, he did it him when he saw that I couldn't, because I was doing Cinderella time. I just went home early. I just
Yeah.
I just couldn't. But I felt so bad and so embarrassed that he's the leader and he did my work. Like, I couldn't wrap a gift. I couldn't put scotch tape. And then, but I love that moment. I remember that moment, even if it happened 7 years ago, 10 years ago. I love that moment because I have that moment with me now.
Hmm.
And I
Did he
don't
ever
tell
say
my,
anything to you? Did it ever come up?
um, I'm thinking, but I don't think he said anything, but he didn't have to say anything anymore
Oh
after,
yeah,
because
obviously.
I
Yeah.
did my work after. I think so. Because then I saw the
You
gifts
knew from
lined up.
now on, it's like next time I have to do something,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go home early and come
I'm
in
not gonna
early.
go
I'll
home
just get
early.
it
I'm not gonna
done.
clock out. Yeah, I'm not gonna clock out. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna complain. I'm just gonna do it because now it helps me with my daughters, because if I tell them to get up early, if I tell them to finish their food, wait a minute, do you get up early, Camille? Do you
Yeah.
finish your food?
Yeah.
You know, are you? Because I
Are you
want them to
coming
go to
through?
church.
Are you
Yeah,
coming through?
I want them to go to church on Sundays. But do you know how to hold a rosary? Right? I
And I mean, you
so
know how easily kids pick things up.
yes,
They're always watching. They're the most perceptive creatures on the planet. Is a kid
right,
that is
right.
watching their parent do everything. They parrot what you say. They act with your mannerisms, your behaviors.
Yes, yes. So that moment with my then leader, his name is Mervin. That moment is something I carry with me today to what I do now. And like if my husband and I have a disagreement, we're going at it. he tells me to do something, I tell him to do something. Well, that example is in my mind. Like,
Mm,
do the hard thing, and then you have all the reason to say, well, I did it already.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's
I
what
like
I
that
think on
reminder
it.
of like whatever we
Yeah.
tell our kids, we have to take our own advice.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
that's what I
come
tell my
on.
kids. My kids get off the bus and they're like, "Oh, do you mind if we go play outside for a while or this or that?" And I'm
Mm,
like, "Just do your homework. Get your
yeah.
homework out of the way.
Yeah.
Your nighttime self will thank your daytime self. Just do the thing, get it done. Anything you ever have to do, trust me, just get started and do it when you can. Your later self
Hmm.
will thank you." And
Hmm.
like we talked about, just trying to instill those mentalities in our kids. Camille, why don't we jump into your book? Why don't you tell me?
Yeah.
I'm curious. How did the book come to be? How did you when did it enter your mind to maybe put your collection of journal entries? Well, first of all, why don't you give the title of the book and then you yourself can share how it came to be?
Yeah. The title is This is What Doubt Looks Like. So I realized I had 50% of these essays that were never seen, and most of them had the theme of doubt in them. And just as a mom, just as a wife, I was sick of that, having that as a recurring theme. Like, why? Right? So, sometime in the last 2 years, when I got laid off, but at the same time, John, I'm not exaggerating. My husband, he kind of got recognized. He got a gold sticker, and I kind of hated that. I hated that. So I was like, well, what can I do? First of all, I'm already doing a lot, but it's not enough to get me, a uniform or anything, or get me a discount at the pizza parlor. So, but what can I do? So, I can punch him back, right? I can punch the keyboard. So, I'm going to keep writing a story that I love, that I believe in. So, I did. And so, I wrote a book. It's a book I found Palmetto Publishing. No, no, no. Wait, scratch that. So, I emailed maybe 5 publishers, and then 3 got back to me. One, they shot me down. Oh, sorry, Jared. They shot me down because they said, well, if you don't have a book already, then don't talk to us. Something like along those lines. Like, if you don't have a book, if you're not sure, because when I reached out, it was still a hallucination, kind of. Like, I was still undercooked. Up here, it was all an idea. And so, like, the first one said, well, if it's not set, then don't talk to us, something like that. The second one was like, I I don't know why I said no, but I said no. There was something off. You know that feeling you get when, like, you get a call from a spammer or customer service,
Mhm.
and you think it's good. You think it's good news, but then there's just something off. You have intuition on those things. So that's
Yeah.
what I felt from the second one. Third one, Palmetto Publishing. I just liked it. The palm trees, LA. I got to do this. They're an independent company, so uh what they were saying seemed good, and they were like, well, Camille, it doesn't make sense that you keep calling yourself an amateur, because to us, this doesn't sound like your first time. No, but it is, Josie, it is my first time, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm making it up. I do know I have stories about my life, but I mean,
Now
I'm
when she
24.
now when she said
What's
she
my
didn't
life about?
understand
Yeah.
why you were calling yourself an amateur. Why? Because she had
Mm.
already read some of your
Assumed.
entries?
Yeah, she already assumed, because, like, when she called me, um this little one was sick. So when she called me, I couldn't finish my conversation with her. I had to attend to her and give her medicine. So Josie was like, "Okay, you know what, Camille? We'll pick up in about an hour, but can you send me some stuff?" So I
Mm,
did. But it was odd, John, because I sent her stuff like that had Filipino in it, that had Tagalog in it, that had references to like high school me, to college me. I had stuff that like you don't really care about. But then when she called me, she was like, "Wait a minute, this is stuff that we care about because it's not just about you, Camille. It's about having hope, right? It's about moving on really quickly. It's about having too much confidence that you forget about humility sometimes. It's about humanity." So I'm like, no, no, no. And that's no, no, really, no. Because if I'm gonna go through with this, John, it has to be real,
mm.
right? That was my feeling back then. Like if I'm gonna go all in on the deep end on this, I better. Like so I was like, no, no, no. And she's like, "Camille, you wrote a memoir." John, I don't even at that time I didn't even know what a memoir was. That's why I keep
Yeah.
saying it now. I'm like, wait, that's why I keep saying it now. That's why I keep posting the word memoir. So I'm like, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm like,
Yeah, you are.
memoir, memory. Are you saying like this is my journal, my diary, and it'll come to life? Like, yes, Camille. So they put me on Amazon. I'm online in Barnes and Noble, and it's like something physical my daughters can hold and touch. And
Yeah, that's
when she
incredible.
was it came out when she was 6, and she was so excited to see that, mommy did a book. And now she's 8 and she's like, "Oh, mommy did a book." She was like, and she can't stop saying Barrios. And she
Barrios.
can't stop talking about it. So I'm like, well, I gotta tell other people then.
But
Okay,
it's
like
amazing.
John. Yeah,
It's amazing just that doubt.
yeah, it
Um,
is.
that someone can see something in us that we can't reconcile ourselves. Even a conversation I had recently, I wasn't having an issue, I wasn't having a down moment or anything like that, but it came up and the other person was like, "Wait, do you realize like how much value you bring
Yeah,
to, you know, they're like, I see what you post on LinkedIn. Does it register with you how much you put
yeah.
out there, how much you help people, like what kind of quality it is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "No, no, no. But do you really realize?" And I'm like, I think I don't.
Mm,
I know I should, but maybe for some people, everybody's different. Maybe for some people, when they put it out, they're like, okay, this is valuable. And I do believe that. But I don't know, maybe for some of us it is harder to give ourselves credit
it
to
is.
understand that we deserve certain things, to
Yeah,
understand that we've earned certain things.
yeah.
Like
It
doubt is,
is.
and it's you're an adult, you're a professional, you've read, whether you've read books, articles on it, self-doubt, this is the way you speak to yourself, this is the way that you should address yourself, this is the self-talk that you should use to understand and get past that doubt. But I don't know if it's like extra humility or
It's
what. It's
in a
interesting.
way. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No,
I
no,
was
no,
just
no.
agreeing with you, John. In a way, a little bit of it is healthy because
Yeah.
it pulls you back
Yes.
before you do anything impulsive or
Yes. Yes. I
too
believe so.
extreme. Yeah, but when you wallow in it for so long, like I have, or when you when the first thing I do is put myself down, it's not
Yes.
good for my mental
Yeah.
health, and it trickles down to the way I talk to my little ones.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, you're saying so
And
much that I just don't want to get to. But yeah, I don't want to lose sight of that. There is healthy doubt. There is
Mm,
healthy
healthy.
uncertainty. I think that's more of I think that's more of what I might have is just that healthy level because it keeps me amplifying my game. I want to keep building my game. And then the
Mm,
other thing you said was as soon as if you dive into it at the extreme where it's toxic, where you're putting
yeah.
yourself down. Like it's one thing to stand upright, right? You're at zero, you're centered, you're balanced, and you're
Mm,
like, I'm not sure. And there's another thing to be like, oh no, I don't deserve to be
yeah.
here. Like there's a
Yeah.
major difference. And then I like what you said about you got to be careful about if it does become that, because as a parent now it may trickle down to your kids through your
Mhm.
behaviors. They sense your energy. So that's powerful that you
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah. And then it's kind of silly trying to overcome that doubt so publicly in a way because it's like, well, why is she always singing? Why is she always, talking about myself, self? No, no, no. It's because for a long time, I've been thinking wrong way. I've been looking so down. I mean, the first thing you do when you wake up now is number one, thank God you're breathing. Number two, are my children at my bedside. Yes, they call me mommy. You know, uh, everything's gonna be okay. There's coffee outside. Everything's gonna be okay. I
As
don't
long as there's
know.
coffee.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know we're gonna get snowed in or, you know, God forbid there's another pandemic or something. But as long as I know I'm centered and I'm okay with me, then that's what I'm thankful for. That's what we all got to be thankful for.
So Camille, then can you give an overview, and I won't keep you too much longer, but can you give an overview of the book? Do you just keep it chronological order or by
It's
events in your
it
life? How did you decide how to structure it?
yeah, it's not in chronological order. Number one, I hold on. Hold on 1 minute. Sorry,
Sure, sure,
John.
sure, sure. No, no, no worries.
Get you over there. So number one, it's not in chronological order because, like I said, my superpower, the flashbacks of like laughter and sorrow sometimes they just come in waves. So like whether I'm in high school, I'm being a mom for the first time, I don't know, I'm getting laid off, I my husband is enlisting and I'm losing my mind. They just come in waves. And it's ironic because that's not how a journal even works. But go with I just go with it. So it's not in order, but if you read it in one go, or if you're serious about under sorry, is it too loud? If you're
No,
serious
no, no.
about understanding a story, then it makes sense, even if it's out of order,
Yeah.
right? Like for example, John, when you talk I mean, like, we talk about being a parent, but then sometimes it's in the conversation. You talk about meeting, the mother of your children, and then you talk about how you started your podcast, and then you talk about someone who pissed you off the other day. It's not in order, but it's still your story, John. It's
Yeah,
still something I can relate to. So that's how my book.
absolutely. And I'm not even saying that it has to be chronological, setting
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chronological, not at all. So how do you
I
decide how to order the entries?
It comes
Is it
and
just kind of like
goes.
is it kind of just like the energy of one flowing into the other, showing that things
It's
worked
like,
out and then they can go to not working out, the highs and lows?
yeah, it's crazy. It goes with the seasons. Like, for example, I'm in Connecticut, it's snowing. So I think about the cold weather, okay? And then I think about how I hate the cold weather and I don't like the snow because I'm from LA, but my kids love the snow. They want to build a snowman every day. So then it jumps. I'm in California. Then I have two children, right? It jumps with the days, with the
Okay.
seasons. Or sometimes I'm writing a piece about John on Saturday, but I need time to finish my story. But then my husband, he comes home after a weekend away, and I want to have lunch with him, you know? So I stop my story on John, even though it's so funny and so hilarious and so cool, so I can just see him. And then, oh, before I know it, it's Sunday Mass. I have to go to church, and I'm serious about church. We have to wake up on time. So, you know, so then my story about John, it's forgotten, but it's not that like I don't like you or the story isn't fun. It's
No, it's
just
just the
that
ebb and flow of life.
present life keeps going on. So if my relationship with John is really genuine and true and real, then I can pick up the conversation when I have time. So when church is done and I still want to talk about John after 2 days, then I can because I'm the author. I'm the
It's my
author.
world. It's my
Yeah, thank
world.
you. Thank you.
How I always ask this question of authors, how what lessons did you take away from this book, or how did getting the book out change you? How did you change in the
It
process?
definitely helped me honor my voice because all the things I was thinking about in my head or the funny stories that I just shared with one person, it's liked by a lot because I'm told by family members, by people I haven't even that I just met yesterday. I know this person because I read about this person. I feel like I know what it's like to live in the Philippines, even though I've never, So it's definitely changed the way I approach life and the way I'm confident in my voice and what I can bring to the table, but I'm not confident in the things outside of my book. So, John, I'm an author, but if you ask me to like solve an al- algebraic equation, I still don't know. I still don't know, right?
I
Or
think most
if
people
you,
don't.
yeah, yeah, or like I can talk so confidently about my book and my voice, but if you ask me what's trending, like I still don't know. I
Yeah, I
still
mean,
don't know.
your book is what you know. Your
Yeah,
book is you.
yeah, yeah. Thank
What do
you.
you and what do you hope people take away from your book?
I hope that they
I'm
have
curious.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah, because the follow up to that is the book is about doubt. It's in the title.
Mm.
So how do you craft what was the voice in terms of, okay, you're entering the entries. Do you just, is it kind of, you enter the, do you give an introduction that speaks to doubt and then you go into the stories and the lessons? Do you articulate the lessons in each story, in each chapter, however you organize it? How is it that the reader gets the message, the lesson from you?
Mm. Mm.
Do you have an introduction that speaks to doubt and what these stories will tell the reader?
The way I wrote the stories was like I'm writing about my memories, but I'm commenting on them as present day Camille. So
Gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
writing about high school Camille or, you know, freshly pregnant Camille, but I'm saying calm down, chill out, it's gonna be okay. Or like, you love the hard stuff, so calm down, you know? So that's how my book is crafted. So that's what gives me hope, and that's what I hope gives others too. And even though this is what doubt looks like, even though that's the title, that's not the last page, right? The last page ends with my message to my daughters. If you guys ever find yourselves in doubt, or like, yes, there will be times you guys might be alone, and the sister bond is powerful. There will be times you won't see each other or your dad or me, but this is what dad looks like. Enough, baby. Um, and mommy wrote about it and she laughed about it.
Hmm.
And yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hopeful book, and it's something I hope. Here we go with hope, but it's something I want my girls to have, and then hopefully, if they meet other people, they can also spread their hope
Yeah. Yeah.
to other people in their radius, because that's what we need right now, John, with the things
Yeah.
that I don't know about.
Yeah, no, 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 I know.
Yeah,
I know. And it's
yeah,
powerful. I think that's beautiful to have that kind of legacy for your daughters where you're writing the book, sharing of your life, and then that message to them at the end. That's amazing. That's amazing. Because I mean, this whole series that I'm doing, people ask me like, what is it that keeps driving me to do it? And part of it is
yeah,
hopefully my kids don't get annoyed by my voice to the point where they don't want to listen to these conversations later. Hopefully
yeah,
they're curious about the books or the people they see in these episodes. But part of it is speaking to them like this is how you get to know people from different backgrounds, writing or reading about different things and the trials and tribulations, the obstacles, failures, and successes they had in life. I mean, there's great humanity out there. Here's how you have those conversations. This is the kind of
yeah,
curiosity I think would serve you. I can only try to, plant that seed in your mind. If you don't take it, I hope you do, but it's powerful when you can create something that is geared, part of it is geared towards setting it up for your kids. It's
yeah.
powerful.
It's for the kids. It's for the kids, John.
Camille, not that you have to be ready to write your next book, but do you have an idea, a general idea of where you would want to go next with your writing?
I oh gosh. I still have a lot of pages where I sound like myself. I sound like the first book, but I do have an idea, but this time it's me coming into terms with, like, yeah, I'm an author, yeah, I'm a writer, and no, I'm not going crazy. I didn't go mental. I didn't turn to drugs and alcohol. I actually made it on the Book Leads podcast, right? Because the first book is me doubting. It's me going. There's a book where I am taking an eye exam, okay? And I had a very deep conversation with my optometrist. And there's part of the book where I'm just like, but why is this happening? Why can I remember everything my optometrist is saying? Right? So the first book is just me struggling, like 50-50. Yes, I am a writer. No, I'm not a writer. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. So that's the struggle. For the second one, um, rightfully finding you and the book leads, the second one is finally me saying, guys, the second one is me literally, guys, I met Josie. Guys, I read Palmetto Publishing. Guys, I'm with John. Right? Or like, guys, I'm alive. Sorry.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm alive. I didn't make it. I didn't make it. Like, my zip code didn't change. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like up here, I'm okay. Up here, I'm okay. And I gotta write that. I gotta write that part because I can't leave it to my girls where mommy's going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the
it,
first book is almost, even though there's that general idea we deserve to be in a certain place if we do our due diligence, if we're bringing value, but that first book is okay, proof
yeah.
I can write
Yeah.
a book.
Yeah.
It's like the prequel, like in a superhero movie, like when they find their
Prequel.
gift. The first movie is always them setting up how the person got their powers. Then the second
Thank
one,
you, John.
you
Yeah.
can start from the ground. Like you can hit the ground running in that second book and say, all right, I already proved it. I have already written my first book. Now let's pick it up from there and build off of that foundation.
Yeah. Because, like, the first book is just like doubt, doubt, doubt. And then I'm having this conversation. Like, the last story is like, I'm ordering pizza from a pizza parlor. You know how, like, they have those make your own pizzas?
Yeah.
And then I just go off at the barista. Like, I'm not harassing him or anything, but I'm telling Ricky I wrote a book or I'm in the process of writing a book. And then he goes, no way. Like, but that's the last story, the no way part, right?
Ah,
So
okay.
I need to write the part where it's like, yes way. And I have to write the part where
Here's your title. Yes way.
yeah, thank you. I have to write the part where, like, I go back to the pizza parlor and this is real. It really happened. I go back to the pizza parlor and I show Ricky that his name is in the last story of my book. Like I told you, the last page of my memoir is like my message to my daughters, but the last story
Yeah.
is Ricky, is the
What
pizza
did he
guy.
say?
He said he was saying you make sense, and uh, he said, "You guys, you're gonna go far, Camille." And then I said, "Ricky, don't do that. Don't make me dream."
Hmm.
You know what Ricky said? He said, "What's the point? That's the point of it all, right? To dream." So I have to write that part. See, I'm giving it all away. I'm giving it all away. But that's the second. Like,
It'll stay between
first,
me and you.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
thank
just
you.
it's just between you
Thank
and
you.
me. Don't worry about it.
Just
Don't worry about it.
between. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, that's
All
good
right.
though. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that tie into the second book.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you,
incredible.
thank you. The reason why it takes long. Oh, sorry, my overtime.
No,
Last
no, no, no.
thought.
Go, 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 go.
Last thought though. But the reason why it's taking me long is because, like, um I just keep having these conversations and I want it to be part of the second book. Like, come here, like,
Yeah,
see,
it's like a
right?
certain point you have to be like, all right, last call. Last call
Last,
for
like,
this book.
this is it. John is it. And then cut. That's it.
Cut,
Like,
and then
you,
we'll pick up for the next volume, the
yeah.
next book. But
Just,
yeah,
yeah. Just like you. Like, how do you know when to cut season one, right? And start another season, right?
yeah,
But you just know. It's your intuition. It's like you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'll know.
At a
I'll
certain
know.
point you have to experiment with trusting yourself, the first
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
and then with the second book you're like, okay, I know trusting myself gets me somewhere, gets me to a
Somewhere.
final product. I'll know
Yeah.
when that last story, when that when I hit a certain month of a certain year, okay,
Yeah.
last call, these are the stories I'll collect, and then anything after
Yeah.
that, the next volume.
Next season. Next season. Next
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
Camille, one last question before I let you go. What is there a book that's inspired you or had left an impact on you?
Gosh. Gosh. I'm not so well read.
That's all
I
right. Hey,
can't. Yeah,
busy
yeah,
parent,
but
I
I
get
I
it.
really do like the Mama Mentality
Okay.
book by Kobe because, like you said, he's my idol. I like his worth ethic, and I think the way he pushed forward in his sports and what he did as a professional, but as a father too,
I got to read
is
that
a
book.
great example
Yeah.
for me.
Have you read the book Relentless?
By yeah, no, not
I
yet.
think it's by Tim Grover. I
Yes.
haven't I read it a few years ago. Tim Grover is a what's the word? Maybe like a conditioning coach.
Mm,
But it's mostly mentality, works with professional athletes. Yeah, Tim
mm,
Grover, and the book is Relentless. Um, and he worked with Kobe. So I think if the Mamba mentality, if you like obviously Kobe's mentality and his hard work and his work ethic,
mhm, mhm.
read Relentless by Tim Grover because Tim talks about mostly his approach to everything, but his number one case study is Kobe and his work ethic and how certain people tried to get in his head. And it gave great insight into what it really takes to become great. You may have
Yeah,
those natural talents, but if
yeah,
you don't
but you
sharpen
have to
those
be,
talents, it doesn't go anywhere.
yeah, like you said, if you have the talent, but if you don't work on it, if you don't discipline yourself, if you
Yeah.
don't say no to yourself, if you don't say yes to yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if you don't have those personal rules, the talent is like, yeah.
Yeah. And it speaks also, obviously, we've talked about how doubt is good or bad depending on how much you have. Relentless is one of those things where it's like, okay, if you want to get something done, there has to be a discipline, there has to be a plan, so you leave no room for doubt. We'll
Mm,
have a healthy dose of doubt, but if you like thinking in that way, Camille, I highly recommend
mm,
that book, Relentless.
thank
um,
you.
and then just in wrapping up, is there anything else you want to share, anything I didn't ask, anything about, you want to share anything about what you're up to these days that you want to share with this audience? The floor is yours.
Oh no, I think I've already given so much away. But thank you for giving me a platform to actually speak and share my story. And um, I didn't have to force you to relate, to my struggles as a parent and mom. And I just want to thank you also, John, for sharing your insights, for sharing stories about you too. So it makes me feel at ease to open up
Yeah.
and be like, okay, this is what happened to me, you know? So just thank you. And I hope you go further. I can't wait to keep reading about your success. And I will look into Relentless. And I just can't wait for a Western Store for both of us.
Absolutely. Thank you for your words. I'm always trying to find that balance between relating to my guest and
Yes.
learning from them. You know what I mean? I don't want it to just be an interview where I'm, question, answer, question, answer. I found that most people open up in these conversations when I'm like, oh yeah, like I've experienced that. I get that. I see
Yeah.
you. I see where you're coming from. I can feel your pain or your doubt, whatever it may be, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I relate to my guests in the right way. So I appreciate your words on that. And again,
You too.
we covered
You too.
Camille's own book. This is what doubt looks like. Camille, thank you again. All right.
Thank you. Have a good day, John.
And if there's anything I might have missed, anything I should have asked, we're limited on time, even though we were on here for a while. Please let me know and I'll reach out to Camille, see what kind of insights, guidance, knowledge I can get back. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.